It's Candace Williams, ABC Radio. Of course, I'm always excited to have a mega talent sitting right across from me. I have the one, the only Stonebwoy.
Yeah.
Yes, and he is Afrobeat star, reggae dancehall star
Absolutely.
from Ghana.
Straight.
Wow, just to have you here is great because I feel like the Afrobeats movement has taken over our worlds. We hear them on the radio worldwide. So let's first get into this latest single, Sugar.
Sugar, yes.
Sugar with Beanie Man,
Straight.
the iconic Beanie Man. If you know anything about Caribbean music, dancehall music, you have to know Beanie Man is the truth. Legendary artist from Jamaica.
The dancehall doctor.
Yes, the dancehall doctor, as he says. And of course, this single is very much heavy on the airwaves.
Truth.
Talk about how this collaboration came about because people, you know, obviously are two different continents or spaces.
Yes,
yeah, so.
Yes. I mean, over the years, at my at endeavoring to, you know, push my music and, you know, represent for Africa and the creative arts, you know, I got an opportunity to meet Dr. Moses, you know, I mean, Beanie Man. Literally, I would have to admit and be grateful for the fact that Beanie Man is one of my inspirations. You know, when I was coming out, Beanie Man, Sean Paul, these two, Sizzla, Capleton, all of this reggae music actually, you know, and I got to later realize that it's only because we're all rooted into one source, one stream. Therefore, the branches and the different fruits that it bears are definitely easy to relate to persons like myself and beyond. You know what I mean? So I caught my inspirations from that part, and after we met, we sort of like had the same mentality to if it's to bridge the gap, yes. But I trust that now it's gone beyond bridging the gap and understanding that it's our music, and in whatever form it comes, we have the rights to do it, to produce it, to create it, to spread it. And now here you are, we have the blend of Afrobeats and reggae and dancehall music all being cooked up in one pot, which is a song like Sugar. And you can only get sweetness when a mixture of all these three come together. You know what I mean? So that's how Sugar was made. Met Beanie in Jamaica. We spoke about it. I went back to Ghana and I put the rhythms together. You know, make sure that we have a compactable sweetness that we can put the sugar on. Imagine. So that's how Sugar came. Sugar is a very happy to. It's a happy song. It's a happy song. It's a song that you can dance to, and it throws some seeds in there as well that you can take from. Like, no matter what you do in life, make sure that you're enjoying it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
I love that. And of course, you know, I have to say that ever since it's been released, people have been just eating it up.
Straight.
You know, they say sugar is addictive. So his song is very much addictive. I've heard that it's already being called the biggest dancehall song of the year.
Yeah, in Ghana right now, no lies.
How does that make you feel knowing that this is your work of art?
Yeah, Sugar actually is the first official song that I released in 2019, and the year has gone half already. So that means that I take time to release my stuff, you feel me? And I think Sugar built off the energies of me and Sean Paul, which is most original, that actually threw my album, The Episodes of Mama, the last released album, into a space where Caribbean people and actually dancehall reggae lovers across the world actually gave me that star still. Like, yo, you got Sean Paul in your thing? And I would say that that was made possible because Sean Paul actually was willing to support another great African artist, you know, also having that mindset of us coming together to continue to promote and push, because this is beyond music and entertainment. It goes back into cultural existence, like how we have to continue to push ourselves as even black people at the end of the day. So it built off the energies of that. Nonetheless, I had done songs with Ching Ching, Sizzla, recording with Capleton, and a host of Jamaican artists, I-Octane, Kabaka Pyramid, met with Damian Marley. Like, so that's the movement. And so Sugar is lucky to be the last one that is a Ghana, Jamaican, or African, Caribbean feature right now. So it's sitting on top of them right now.
Absolutely, and doing exceptionally well. And I have to talk about how Afrobeats, your music, clearly the mix of dancehall has really essentially just been able to take over. You've been able to cross over internationally,
Truth.
which is not an easy feat by any means. Let's talk a little bit about your roots in that sense. You know, you have been on the rise. I mean, there's other artists like Stonebwoy and you know, Davido, you know, WizKid. Clearly, we see that have taken that, you know, banner and been able to kind of come across to the U.S.
Exactly.
Talk about that process and a little bit about what the hardest part has been for you as an artist from Ghana crossing over into this space. Do you feel like you constantly have to educate people about Africa and your homeland in this process, or has it been a little bit easier for you because you have artists before you?
Thank you very much. I have to take it from having to always put in the vibes, having to always educate people, because definitely I don't see anything wrong with having to reintroduce yourself at every point in time, because you can never get big enough. You know what I mean? You can never get big enough. You can always keep going and keep pushing. And my roots, I mean, I'm a Ghanaian born. I come from the Volta region of Ghana, which is towards the eastern and the southeastern part. You know, we share borders with that city or that side of the country, that region. We call them regions. The Volta region shares borders with Togo. So most of my lineage come from Togo as well. You know what I mean? We speak Ewe. Our language is EWE. You know what I mean? So that's my roots, and you know what I mean? That's where I'm from. So I speak Ewe in my song as well. I mean, everything Afrobeat is us. Ghana actually as my root, the original Black Stars, the Gold Coast, is a secret spice to the Afrobeat of today. Being that every legendary person that has ever come out to represent for the culture of Afrobeat and whatsoever have had to connect to the Black Star source, which is Ghana. You know what I mean? Because all back in the 1920s and all, we realized that our music, our indigenous music, had the opportunity to infuse with the Spanish to get that, you know, our music had actually, it was there. You know what I mean? As history would teach me. So based off on all these things, I know who I am. I'm proud of what my predecessors and ancestors have done, which shows you how important it is for us to re-educate ourselves every time. So now that I'm here, I will always use the opportunity to let this known as well. Nonetheless, West Africa, we have Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populated, you know, so they have also done so well in spearheading and propelling the Afrobeat fire. You know, way back, we can call names like Fela as well. I can also call names like Osibisa from way back from ours. And I think it's the same thing we're doing, but with the emergence of new school and new people, I mean, new generation, we now are open more and more to, because the world has become like a global village now where it's easy to reach out. So we've had enough information now to reach out and enjoy each other's music from the Caribbean and across. That's why my influence now is a combination of the Caribbean reggae dancehall and the Afrobeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely that fusion. And so now that you've been able to kind of put your stamp, you know, across these different spaces, these continents and these places, what do you hope the impact will be for the future generation? Because believe it or not, you are an inspiration to the next generation and to people who come after you. Because interestingly, I was at M.Anifest and I spoke to Nasty C. And I spoke to a lot of these artists from, you know, the motherland. That have. I spoke to him. He was wonderful. Very nice, humble guy. And I find that as I encounter more Afrobeats artists, that there is, believe it or not, so much on their shoulders because of the fact that, you know, you guys really are the pioneers to some capacity. I mean, there's other artists that came before you of your time, you know, so I'm just curious as what you hope the impact will be back to your specific town. You know, you mentioned the genesis, the roots of it all. So when you go back to your town, what are you doing? What are you seeing? What are you hoping the impact will be?
Not only when I go back to my town is Ashaiman, where I represent one of the most core ends in Ghana. When you come to Ghana, you mention Ashaiman, they know you're from the hood. You know what I mean? Not only do I wish my impact to make a change, but I thought that what I'm doing right now and what we are doing as New School, be it the artists from Africa who do strictly Afrobeats, be it us that do Afrobeat with a combination of dancehall and reggae. All we want to continue to do is peace, is to fix up the pieces still, because we're not the first ones to do this. Never. We have gotten to we have had the opportunity to be alive right now in this time, and we have also been inspired by predecessors who would wish for people like us today to take it on, to make sure that we continue to spread the unity of sounds that emerge from the same roots of blackness. You get me? So I think this is what it is that we're doing. So anytime I continue to move from space to space, anytime I continue to get the opportunity, like be here on abcRadio and other media platforms, I definitely want to make them know that it's just a continuity of what our ancestors would have wanted to be. So now we're coming across to enjoy each other's music. Whether you being from an African descent, you don't know where particularly you're from Africa, whatnot, you now know Afrobeat, you've known reggae music, you've known dancehall music now, all three of us, soca music, and all the other ones that come. Now it's all being merged together, and we're enjoying our music.
Absolutely. Now I have to ask you this question because, you know, ABC, our parent company is Disney, which also owns Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I hope you've seen Black Panther.
Yes,
when that film came out, did you feel it as well about really what that meant to the culture as a whole? And you being from, obviously, Africa, were you like, I know where that is. I know Wakanda. I know. That's like across the street. No, I'm joking. But tell me about how when that film came out, what your thoughts were and what that meant for, you know, across the platform there.
First and foremost, I felt so proud about that film, and I'm like, yes, because as far as I'm concerned, the Western media controls the world. You know what I mean? What America says is heard all over the world in a minute. You know, not what, I mean, we all know the Western power controls. So when a film as such that's representing for black people and telling black people's stories, and the is it a uranium, vibranium, and the vibranium? That is, I don't know if that's a real metal. Right. But if it is, I trust that the story that they're trying to tell is just like, wow. Eventually, somebody's telling the story of Africans in a way that is telling them that, listen, we have, if I can use the word, supernatural and amazing, and even things that you can't even think about. Like, we have potentials that is outside of the box that you can't even wrap your minds around. So I was like, yes, this is it. I was proud. Like all across the world, black people now began to, when they went to see the movies, they wore African clothes. They were proud to. So, look, I think some people would have even painted themselves to be more blacker so they can represent. You know what I mean? So when I saw that, I began to realize the fact that I think that, yes, we don't, I felt that, yes, now our minds are we're being educated. We are taking off the heavy load, you know, of having to, though be black people, segregate and corner ourselves in pieces. Because when you see the movie actually even talks about tribes from the various African spots and all of that. It talks about the Dahomey warriors who are still, who they're like, they're there. You know, when you take the history of the Haitians, all these ones, so it's up to the, I mean, what can I say? Black people are like pushing, sharing our stories, teaching each other, because most of the things that we've learned from history are not what was, it's like a waste of time. You know what I mean? This is the real history, and we can only learn it through the movies, through the music, and that's why we are here.
Absolutely.
Doing it via the music.
Yes. Now, before we go, I want you to talk about what's coming up for you music-wise. Well, I know you mentioned the last album, you know, so now I know you're very, as you mentioned, very slow to release your music. Is this all leading up to a new project? And talk a little bit about it and what we can expect.
Thank you very much. As we speak, on Friday, I'm going to drop one that's called Tough Seed. You know, like with all that has been happening and all, I picked, you know, I picked lessons from there, and I began to also understand the fact that a lot of people like myself, you know, go through things, and most often we forget to, I mean, we do not realize that we've not been able to detach the memories of the hurt or the pain from our minds, and those have actually led us on to do stuff that are influenced by those pains, and we don't even realize. So with this song, I just want to tell myself and tell people that, listen, we're tough seeds. No matter what happens, we get buried, that's when we actually have to grow and start a new thing. So we actually have to get back. And whoever is trying to dig us down, they Rebel liberation. Tell me where you gonna run go.